Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lift Parts Warehouse channel. Are you looking for a step-by-step guide to replacing your forklift radiator? You're in the right place. In this video, we're going to show you exactly how to replace a forklift radiator the right way. We'll cover the tools you'll need, safety steps, how to pull the old radiator, and how to install the new one without missing a single connection. Whether you're a mechanic or a shop operator, follow along as we walk you through each step to get your forklift back on the floor and running smoothly again. Safety and preparation. Before we start pulling parts, let's set the stage the right way. Radiator jobs can get messy, and skipping safety steps is how you end up with burns, spills, or broken parts. First, park the forklift on level ground, set the parking brake, and block the wheels so it can't roll. Make sure the engine is completely cool. Never open a cooling system that's still hot. Next, disconnect the battery. Any live wires or accidental sparks can cause electrical shocks, short circuits, and damage the electrical system. Once you disconnect the battery, gather the tools and materials you'll need. A socket set, usually 10 to 14 millimeters, will cover most radiator bolts. Screwdrivers and hose clamp pliers. A torque wrench for proper reassembly. A drain pan for old coolant. Fresh coolant or antifreeze. Check for new clamps and hoses. If any look worn, replace them. And don't forget protective gear, gloves, and safety goggles. A rag and a small brush come in handy for cleanup, and a little penetrating oil is excellent for stubborn bolts. Now, once everything is in your hand, let's get into the actual steps of replacing your forklift radiator. Step 1. Accessing the radiator. Let's get to work by accessing the radiator. Start by opening the hood or engine cover to expose the cooling system. Most forklifts provide a clear view of the radiator located right behind the fan. Next, remove the coolant reservoir. It's usually mounted to the side with two small bolts or clips, making it easy to remove with a socket or screwdriver. Set it aside carefully. Next is the fan shroud. This plastic or metal guard encases the cooling fan, preventing the radiator from protruding. Expect 4 to 6 bolts, typically 10 to 12 millimeters in size. Remove them evenly and slide the shroud back toward the fan and lift it out of the way. At this point, you've cleared the way. You can now see the radiator, its hoses, and the mounting brackets that hold it in place. Step 2. Disconnecting hoses, sensors, and transmission lines. Now that the radiator is exposed, it's time to disconnect everything attached to it. Start with the upper radiator hose. Use hose clamp pliers or a flat screwdriver to loosen the clamp. Then pull and twist the hose gently to break it free. Have your drain pan ready, as some coolant will still be trapped inside. Next, move to the lower radiator hose. This one carries most of the coolant, so expect a heavier drain. Again, loosen the clamp, pull the hose free, and let the fluid run into the pan. If your forklift is automatic, you'll also see 2 transmission cooler hoses running into the radiator. These usually use small clamps or threaded fittings. Carefully remove them and cap the ends to avoid spilling ATF, automatic transmission fluid. Don't forget about any temperature sensor wiring or small bypass hoses that may be connected near the radiator tank. Unclip or unplug these carefully to avoid damage. Once the hoses, lines, and sensors are out of the way, the radiator is completely free of fluid connections and ready to be unbolted. Step 3. Unbolting and removing the radiator. Most forklift radiators are held in place with 4 main mounting bolts, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. Depending on the model, these are typically 12mm or 14mm bolts, but always make sure to check your model's manual. Spray a little penetrating oil on them if they look rusty. Remove the top bolts first, then support the radiator while loosening the lower bolts. Remember, even empty, a radiator can weigh 30–50 pounds, so lift with care. It's best to have someone if you're working in tight quarters or with bigger forklifts. With all bolts removed, carefully lift the radiator straight up and out of the compartment. Watch out for any hoses, clamps, or wiring that might still be snagged. You don't want to rip anything accidentally. Set the old radiator aside and take a quick look at the mounting brackets and the surrounding area. This is a good time to brush away dirt, rust, or debris before installing the new unit. Step 4. Radiator prep. Before dropping the new radiator in place, take a minute to prepare it. Inspect it for any shipping damage, bent fins, or cracks. Flush with clean water if there's any protective oil or debris inside, as some aftermarket radiators have it. Transfer over any rubber mounts, brackets, or sensors from the old radiator. Make sure the drain plug is tight and the filler neck is clean. Test fit the hoses so you know they'll seat properly once installed. Once it's ready, you can move on to mounting it securely in the forklift. Step 4. Installing the new radiator. Now, carefully lower the new radiator into place. Align the mounting tabs with the frame brackets and thread in the bolts finger-tight to avoid cross-threading. Depending on the model, these are typically 12mm or 14mm, but always confirm with your service manual. Once all bolts are started, snug them down evenly with a ratchet and finish to the manufacturer's torque specs if available. Next, reconnect the transmission cooler hoses if your forklift isn't automatic. Slide them back on their fittings and secure them with clamps. Do the same for the lower radiator hose, then the upper radiator hose, making sure clamps are positioned correctly over the hose beads. At this stage, reinstall the fan shroud, lining it up with the radiator frame and tightening its 4 small bolts, 2 on each side. Finally, reconnect any brackets, sensors, or overflow reservoir connections you removed earlier. Double-check that all clamps are tight, hoses are clear of moving parts, and nothing is rubbing against the fan. Step 5. Refilling and bleeding the cooling system. With the radiator bolted in and hoses secure, it's time to refill the system. Always use the coolant type specified in your forklift service manual. Many Toyota and Nissan forklifts take a premixed ethylene glycol formula, but some require low silicate or extended life coolant. Mixing the wrong type can cause scaling or premature corrosion inside the new radiator. Start by making sure the drain plug at the bottom of the radiator is fully closed. Then, slowly pour coolant into the radiator filler neck until it's nearly full. If your forklift uses a remote expansion tank, top that up to the full mark as well. To bleed out trapped air, leave the cap off and start the engine. Let it idle while you watch the coolant level. Bubbles will rise as air pockets purge from the system. As the thermostat opens, usually after 5 to 10 minutes, the level will drop, so add more coolant until it stabilizes. Some forklifts also have bleed screws on the upper cooling lines. If yours does, crack them open briefly with a 10mm wrench to let trapped air escape. Keep an eye on the temperature gauge while doing this. The engine should climb gradually to its normal operating range. If it spikes suddenly, shut down immediately. You likely have an airlock. Once bubbling stops and the coolant remains steady at the top of the neck, reinstall the radiator cap and make sure it's seated firmly. After the engine reaches operating temperature, shut it down and allow it to cool for 20 to 30 minutes. Recheck both the radiator and expansion tank, topping off as needed. This step is critical because air pockets often release as the engine cools. Step 6. Final checks and test run. With everything buttoned up, lower the forklift off any stands and clear your tools from the area. Start the engine and let it idle for a few minutes, watching the temperature gauge. Take the truck for a short, no-load test run to confirm stable operating temperature. Once the forklift cools down again, recheck the coolant level and top off if needed. This final step ensures your system is fully purged and ready for regular operation. That's it, you've successfully swapped out the radiator on your forklift. A job like this not only solves overheating issues, but also keeps your cooling system reliable for the long haul. As a maintenance tip, always keep an eye on your coolant quality and radiator fins. Flushing the system at recommended intervals and replacing worn hoses or clamps can prevent costly downtime later. If you're replacing a radiator, don't cut corners on parts. At Lift Parts Warehouse, we stock radiators for almost every major forklift make and model, along with the cooling system components that go with them: hoses, brackets, fans, thermostats, and water pumps. Check out our catalog online, and if you're not sure which radiator fits your truck, our support team can help you match it up fast. Give us a call, toll-free, at 1-800-210-8170, or email us at parts@liftpartswarehouse.com.